Hello and welcome to Wisdom Bites. Hope you're well. Thank you once again for joining us. Very much appreciated. And in today's video, we're going to look at one of the most powerful indicators that actually confirms the start of the bull market. Also, I'm going to have a look at what possible correction we can have if we meet the target for Bitcoin before the end of 2023 or 50,000. And finally, I'll have a look at the 60-day cycle to show exactly where we are and where we seem to be heading over the next few days and weeks. So if that sounds interesting, get yourself a cup of tea, sit yourself down, eyes on the screen, let's get cracking. As usual, before I begin, the usual polite reminder, please remember everything in my videos is just for educational purposes, so please always do your wider research before you make any investment decisions. So with that out of the way, I'm going to look at one of the most powerful indicators over the history of Bitcoin, which has proved to be accurate in each of the cycles to show that we have come to the end of the previous bear market and we are now in the start of the new bull market. What is it? Yes, it's our humble RSI chart over here. If we go back to the first cycle, but the start of that bull market was here. And if you look at the RSI below, the red line here is the 50% line. And you can see the RSI just managed to get above the 50% line, and then from then onwards, it went all the way above the 70% line until the end of the bull market over here. So we started back here when the RSI jumped up above the 50% and we had a clear run to the end of the first cycle's bull market in 2013. And if we move to the second cycle, after the first cycle, the bear market over here led to the RSI coming all the way down below the 50% line once again. But once we managed to get above the 50% line here, and this actually corresponds to this candle over here, and from then onwards, we were on our way to the next top of the bull market in 2017. As you can see with the RSI, we never came back down below the 50% to retest this again. So that was the end of the second cycle. So the last cycle, the third cycle we were in, once again, at the end of the second cycle, we came to this bear market. The RSI fell below the 50% line. And once we managed to get above it over here, that was the start of the next bull market that completed in November 2021. I see the ones with a keen eye will be wondering what's happened here, that we did fall back below that, but that was the corresponding time with the COVID-19 situation. So that was a one-off black swan event. So that brings us to the current cycle to see exactly what's happened recently. Look what's happened here. Last month, at the end of March, we actually closed at 51.26 on the RSI, and we're now going higher once again. So once again, we have another indicator which confirms the start of the next bull market. So I would expect for the next 2 to 3 years to have a good run to the end of the next bull market here. The confirmation doesn't actually stop there because there is a very powerful confluence of the RSI with the 21 simple moving average on the monthly chart here. So if we have a look on the first cycle, the price came above the 21 simple moving average here, just about the time when we went above the 50% on the RSI, and the price action actually rode that all the way up to the top of that cycle. And then after the bear market over here, in the second cycle, when the price came down below the 21 simple moving average, once we got above that average here, that also coincided with the RSI going above the 50%. Similar thing happened towards the top of that cycle. We rode the price all the way up on the 21 simple moving average until the next bear market in the third cycle, where once again the price fell below the 21 simple moving average here, just like the RSI. And then once we managed to get above the 21 simple moving average, just like the RSI above the 50%, we went on this run until the end of November 2021. And guess where we are now? We've just hit the 50% on the RSI, and we are about to test the 21 simple moving average one more time, just like back here in 2019, in 2015, and over here in 2012. Everybody has to make up their own mind about where the market is going, but we can only look at the facts in the charts and make some sort of illicit conclusion from those charts. One of the questions that people ask me is that I've been talking about over the last many weeks and months now on many of the videos that in the beginning of a new bull market, before the halving, we're going to be getting maybe one, maybe two rallies, which are going to be quite substantial. But when we get those rallies, what can we expect in terms of a correction? So now currently we've just hit the 30,000 mark and our target is actually anywhere between 40 and 50. So when we get to that target of 40 to 50,000 on the Bitcoin price, what correction can we expect before the end of 2023 or even before the halving next April in 2024? So let's have a look at the charts and see exactly what's happened in the past that may give us a clue as to what may happen in the current cycle that we're in now. So before the first halving over here, we'd already had two main rallies over here and over here. If we have a closer look, we'll be able to measure exactly the corrections that followed afterwards. So the first correction from a major rally after the bear market was around 47%. And the second rally that we had here before the halving, we came down to this level here at around about $9. And that was a 38%. So we can call it roughly around 40% corrections on both of these rallies that we had here. If we move to the second cycle, so this was the top in November 2013 at the end of the first cycle. So before the next halving, you can see we had one major rally up here after the bottoming out of the bear market here. So the correction here was all the way down to the first candle here. And once again, this is 40.7%, so 40% again here. And as you can see, we had another rally just before the halving here. And if we measure that as well, from the top to the bottom here, that was 38.6%. So once again, approximately around about the 40% mark. So two rallies and two corrections in the first cycle, and two corrections and two rallies in the second cycle, all of which were around about the 40% mark. And that happened all before the halving. So if we move on to the next cycle, from the December 2017 topping out and then the bear market over here, we had one rally up here, and then when that came down, we had another further rally up here. So once again, we got two rallies before the halving that happened in May 2020. And the corrections from the first one, from the 14,000 down to this level here, was 53%. And from the second rally here, obviously that was the COVID situation, so this was obviously out of line with everything else, and this was 62%. So this time we got 50% and 60%. So coming to the current cycle, we can see that we're going to have anywhere around about the 40% plus mark in terms of a correction. And if you've been watching my videos, the target for the first rally that I've got is around these levels here, based on these horizontal support and resistances, around about the 50,000 down to around about the $40,000 mark here. Let me take this one out. These are the two targets we've got for the rally that we're currently in now over here. And as I've shown you in the last few videos, there is a higher probability to get to the 50,000 above the 40,000, of course. So if we take 50,000 as the target that we're going to get on this current rally, then the correction we can expect from there would be, regarding the historical context, of around about 40%. This needs to be a bit higher actually, up to 50,000 there, that's it. So about 50,000 as the top target price. So a 40% fall from the $50,000 mark over here would bring us all the way down to the current level of where we are, around about the $29,000-$30,000 mark here. So if anybody's thinking of taking profits at the 50,000, then a good guide of coming back onto the market and buying back would be around about the $30,000+ mark for the Bitcoin. So I hope you found that interesting. Okay, we're going to have a look at the 60-day cycle, and as you've probably noticed from yesterday, we've now had a break above these levels here of around 29,000, and I've been mentioning over the last many videos that this bull flag and the range that we've got here more than likely should break up to the upside, because we're now coming into the middle of this 60-day cycle that we're in now here. So this was the start of the cycle back in the 10th of March, and the end of this cycle after 60 days should be around about the 9th of May. And the midpoint, as I've mentioned many times before, we should create a right translated cycle, which means that after the midpoint we should be on a higher high from the previous high here. and we've already now made that. So we should see a quick run up to anywhere around about the 32, maybe even higher, 34,000, before coming back down into the 60-day cycle low, wherever that's going to be, maybe around here or up to these levels here. So once again, this cycles frame that we've got on this 60-day cycle is proving very useful to judge exactly when the Bitcoin price may move to the higher levels from the previous highs. And I know a lot of people on this channel are following this 60-day cycle, and certainly for me, they provide a very useful tool. So when I know that the mid-cycle is coming up, I know that that's a very good time to be actually invested in the market. And this current run-up could take us well past the 40-45 days, i.e. the midpoint of the second half of this cycle over here, before we have a quick move to the downside for the end of the cycle low, before we start making the next high. And that's the one that might take us to the $50,000 mark target that we have. A quick word about the Bitcoin miners. As you know, we have a private members club which covers the Bitcoin miners. And as I've mentioned about the Bitcoin miners being a leverage play on the Bitcoin price. So we can see very clearly the evidence here that yesterday when Bitcoin went up by 1.5%, all the Bitcoin miners here, with the exception of one or two, the leverage play was very evident here. So Marathon yesterday went up by 14%, while Bitcoin went up by 1.5%. And Cypher went up by 9%, Riot by 15%. You can see these large numbers. Iris Energy 12%, TerraWolf 16%. And as you go down the board, you can see these are much, much higher figures. And this is really the leverage play that I've been talking about with the Bitcoin miners. And it looks to me as though as the start of the bull market takes hold, these Bitcoin miners are now going to start executing this leverage play against the Bitcoin. I also mentioned in the last video that we've got quite a few swing trades going on in the Bitcoin Miners Club. And one of the targets was met yesterday with Marathon. We got in at 719 and we closed the position at 880 yesterday. And there's quite a few other swing trades that are still being active now. If you're interested in joining the Bitcoin Miners Club, then you can join us below any of my videos by clicking the join button here. And if you're on a handheld device, you can join us with the description box here, where there is another link for those with a handheld device. The cost of the membership is $4.99. So for the cost of a coffee, we do 4 videos, one every Wednesday, that covers a special feature on a Bitcoin miner which has a high potential, and also we go through some swing trades that are possible with some of the Bitcoin miners. And it appears that this is a very good opportunity to get in at the ground floor of this great opportunity that is facing us. Okay, so we'll leave it there. I hope you found value in the video, and if you did, then please do remember to like and subscribe and to turn on the notification bell. And if you have any comments, questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Until the next time, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.